Apple is finally circling the foldable smartphone market, and if the latest leaks are accurate, Samsung might have a real problem on its hands. Because after 7 years of Galaxy Fold dominance, Apple's first foldable iPhone, often called the iPhone Fold, in leaks could launch with the one advantage that matters more than anything in a foldable: battery life. And yes, that's a bold claim. But the newest rumor gives it teeth. According to a Chinese tipster known as Fixed Focus Digital, Apple's first foldable iPhone could ship with a massive 5,500 milliamp hours battery. If that number is real, it's not just good for an iPhone. It would be one of the most aggressive battery moves Apple has ever made, especially in a device category that's known for mediocre endurance. For context, the Galaxy Z Fold 8, expected later this year, is rumored to land around the 5000 mAh+ range. That's not small, but foldables burn power fast. 2 displays, high refresh rates, bigger panels, and heavier multitasking. Battery life has been the most common complaint about book-style foldables for years. So if Apple shows up with a larger battery and does what Apple usually does, optimize the software and squeeze more efficiency out of the chip, this could be the first foldable where people stop asking, will it last all day? And start asking, why can't my normal phone do this? Now, let's slow down for a second, because this is still a leak, but it's a leak that fits Apple's strategy almost perfectly. Apple doesn't rush into categories. Apple waits until it believes it can deliver a finished experience. That's exactly what happened with smartwatches, wireless earbuds, even large-screen phones. Apple usually enters late, but enters with a product that feels polished, reliable, and mainstream-ready. And with foldables, the mainstream has had the same fears for years: durability, crease, battery life, and whether the software actually feels designed for a folding screen. Which brings us to the rest of the rumored SPECS, because the battery leak is only the beginning. The foldable iPhone display leak. Smaller cover, bigger inner, and crease-less ambition. The current rumor suggests Apple's foldable iPhone will feature a 5.5-inch OLED cover display and a 7.8-inch inner foldable OLED display. That inner size is right in the sweet spot for a book-style foldable. It's large enough to feel like a mini tablet, but not so huge that the phone becomes impossible to pocket. But the most important phrase in this leak is this: crease-less design. If Apple actually ships a foldable iPhone with a dramatically reduced crease, or a crease that's close to invisible under normal lighting, that's the kind of difference people notice instantly in a store. That's the kind of feature that makes a foldable feel premium instead of experimental. Samsung has improved the crease over generations, but it's still there. Every foldable has had to compromise somewhere: a visible crease, a thicker body, or weaker battery life. Apple is rumored to be attacking all of it at once: bigger battery, crease-less inner display, and the next generation chip. If they pull that off, this won't be Apple's first attempt. It'll feel like Apple's first finished foldable. Camera rumors, dual 4.8MP sensors, and a very Apple approach. Next up, cameras. The leaks point toward a dual rear camera system, both 4.8MP sensors. That's interesting, because Samsung's Fold series often aims for versatility with multiple lenses, but sometimes sacrifices sensor size or overall quality compared to the Ultra lineup. Apple typically focuses on fewer cameras with higher consistency, especially in video, color science, and reliability across lenses. If Apple goes with two 4.8MP cameras, expect the marketing angle to be pro-level photo and video 2x crop zoom that still looks great, better low light than typical foldables, and a no-compromise camera experience compared to other book-style foldable phones. And then there's the front camera situation, because foldables always have to answer the question, where does the selfie camera go? The current rumor suggests an under-display selfie camera on the inner screen. If that happens, it's going to be a huge moment, because under-display cameras usually look soft compared to normal selfie cameras. Apple will not ship that unless It's confident it can make it look acceptable, or unless it plans to prioritize the clean screen experience over selfie quality on the inner display. And Apple has options. It could use the cover display camera for high-quality selfies and keep the inner camera more video call utility than Instagram quality. That would be a very Apple solution. Security rumor: side-mounted Touch ID instead of Face ID. One of the most believable leaks is also one of the most controversial. A side-mounted fingerprint reader that likely means Touch ID on the power button. And, honestly, it makes sense. Face ID in a foldable is complicated. You have multiple screen positions, different angles, potential thickness issues, and internal hardware space constraints. Touch ID on the side button solves all of it with one move. It works folded, unfolded, in any orientation. Instantly dot, and in a foldable where you're opening, closing, and shifting grips constantly. Touch ID could actually feel faster than Face ID dot. So if Apple's foldable iPhone launches with Touch ID in the power button, don't see it as Apple going backward. See it as Apple choosing the solution that fits the form factor best. The big power play. A 20 Pro on 2 nanometers could change foldable battery life. Now let's talk about the real reason this battery leak is so exciting. The chip. The foldable iPhone is rumored to use a 2 nanometers chipset, often referred to in leaks as the A20 Pro. If Apple gets a 2 nanometers chip into a foldable iPhone, that's massive for two reasons. Better performance per watt, lower heat output during sustained workloads. Foldables don't just need speed. They need efficiency. They need cool, consistent performance while pushing 2 displays and serious multitasking. And Apple is already known for beating competitors in real-world efficiency. iPhones frequently deliver elite battery life without chasing giant battery numbers because iOS and Apple Silicon are tuned together. So if Apple pairs a 5,500 milliamp hours battery with a 2 nanometers A-series chip and tight iOS optimization, it's not crazy to imagine Apple delivering the first all-day foldable experience that doesn't feel like a compromise. And if Samsung Z Fold 8 lands with a smaller battery and a less efficient platform, Apple could win the single category that foldable buyers complain about the most. Why a bigger battery matters more on a foldable iPhone than a regular iPhone. Here's what people forget. Foldables change how you use your phone. You don't just scroll more, you multitask more. You don't just watch videos. You watch bigger videos. You don't just answer messages. You run 2 apps at once. You don't just take photos. You edit them on a larger screen. So battery life isn't a nice to have on a foldable. It's the foundation. Without strong battery life, the entire idea of a foldable collapses into anxiety. Always hunting for a charger, always managing brightness, always turning features off. That's why this 5,500 milliamp hours leak is such a big deal. Even if Samsung matches Apple's battery size, Apple's software efficiency is usually the difference. And if Apple exceeds Samsung in battery size while keeping efficiency advantages, the gap could be obvious in real-world endurance tests.